In the Pokrovsk direction, Russian forces have decided to repeat the pipe operation in a bid to cover up earlier failures and mask heavy losses in Dobropillia. Military and political observer Oleksandr Kovalenko shared his opinions on X. Russian forces launched an operation in the Kursk region dubbed Pipe or Flow to break through to Sudzha, but the effort was pointless from the start. The observer says Ukrainian troops were already withdrawing and US intelligence and logistics support had deteriorated, making a breakthrough unnecessary. Russian General Aleksandr Lapin reportedly rejected a more effective helicopter landing option, choosing the pipe plan mainly to impress military leadership. Analysts call the operation a failure. In the Pokrovsk direction, a follow-up operation, Pipe 2.0, was launched to cover up earlier failures after the advance toward Dobropillia ended in disaster, destroying more than 3 Russian battalions, according to Oleksandr Kovalenko. As a result of the Russian forces' persistent attempts to break through to Dobropillia, their losses in this direction over 1 week of assaults amounted to about 1,300 killed and wounded, the military expert noted. The observer says Russia is reviving the pipe operation to distract from depleted forces in the Dobropillia direction. Reinforcements are being sent to Pokrovsk to strengthen the 51st Army and replace losses, highlighting a serious weakening of the Kursk grouping and reduced pressure on the Sumy region. Kovalenko adds that the Dobropillia advance was intended to showcase Russian strength ahead of the Alaska meeting. Most likely, it was meant to show, ahead of the Putin-Trump meeting in Alaska, that Russian troops were not just advancing, but breaking through Ukrainian defenses. In reality, it had the exact opposite effect. So severe that forces and resources had to be pulled from another equally failed sector, the Sumy buffer zone, essentially signaling a gesture of goodwill, Kovalenko concluded. Recall, Russia has redeployed its elite marine and airborne units from the Sumy direction to the Pokrovsk sector, according to open-source monitoring. The monitoring group, War Unit Observer, reported the arrival of the 155th and 40th Marine Brigades, likely alongside the 177th Marine Regiment in the Pokrovsk area. Analysts assess the probable axis of advance as toward Dobropillia and Druzhkivka. Additionally, elements of the 11th Airborne Brigade and the 76th Airborne Division were identified moving to the same sector. These units were previously recorded operating along the Sumy and Kursk axis. The redeployment also includes the 70th Motorized Rifle Division, which was transferred to Bakhmut to provide reinforcements. Its likely objective is to increase pressure on Kostiantynivka or Siversk. Analysts conclude that Russia is completing a wider strategic regrouping after shifting forces from Sumy and Kherson, and may soon enter a new phase of offensive operations.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday said India and Russia appear to have been lost to China, following the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Beijing this week where their leaders stood alongside Chinese President Xi Jinping. Looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest, China. May they have a long and prosperous future together. Trump wrote in a post on his social media platform. He also shared a photo of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin. Earlier, Trump accused Xi Jinping of conspiring against the U.S. with the leaders of Russia and North Korea. His comments came as China hosted world leaders at its largest ever Victory Day parade in Beijing on Wednesday. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Trump met with Putin in Alaska on August 15 for a summit hoping for a deal on ceasefire in Ukraine. but attempts at a peaceful settlement between Russia and Ukraine have stalled. Donald Trump is losing hope for a quick breakthrough and accuses Europe and China of supporting the war, NBC News reports. According to two senior officials in the U.S. presidential administration, Trump has become more pessimistic about the prospects of ending Russia's war against Ukraine and the possibility of a personal meeting between the leaders of the two countries. However, Trump has not abandoned the idea of resolving the conflict. He held a video conference with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders. During the conversation, he stressed that Europe must stop purchasing Russian oil that is funding the war. According to a White House representative, Trump also stressed the need to increase pressure on China. He emphasized that Beijing supports Russia's military actions and must bear the economic consequences. This approach differs from Trump's rhetoric during the 2024 election campaign. At that time, he confidently stated that he would be able to end the war within 24 hours of taking office. He later explained that he was speaking figuratively. Now, the U.S. president acknowledges that the conflict has proven to be much more complex than he had anticipated.
During a meeting in Beijing, Chinese President Xi Jinping, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian leader Vladimir Putin unexpectedly touched on the future of medicine and life expectancy. They suggested that people could live to 150 this century. The private conversation between the leaders was published by Bloomberg. The topic of human life expectancy in the 21st century unexpectedly became the center of their discussion. Xi Jinping noted that humanity has already made significant progress in this area. In the past, people rarely lived to be 70. But today, at 70, you are still a child, the Chinese leader said. Vladimir Putin picked up the theme, focusing on the possibility of biotechnology. According to him, the future could bring a breakthrough in transplantology and regenerative medicine. Thanks to biotechnology, organs can be transplanted continuously and people will be able to live longer and even achieve immortality, the Russian dictator dreamed. Xi Jinping supported this idea and noted that, according to scientists' forecasts, there is a real chance of achieving a life expectancy of 150 years in this century. The conversation between Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un took place just minutes before the Chinese leader gave a speech celebrating China's victory over Japan. Immediately after the speech, a parade began in the central square, where the latest weapons were on display, which was supposed to emphasize Beijing's military and political might. During the short walk, translators walked behind, with Putin on Xi's side and Kim on his left. The topic of age and health was especially important for all three leaders, the publication noted, because none of them has yet identified clear successors. Xi, 72, has abolished presidential term limits and is rumored to run for a fourth term in 2027. His peer, Putin, has also changed the law to preserve the possibility of staying in power in Russia. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un, 41, arrived in Beijing with his daughter, fueling speculation about her future role as a possible heir to the regime. As reported during the SCO summit, Russian dictator and war criminal Vladimir Putin once again made a number of cynical statements regarding the war against Ukraine and presented his own vision of the so-called peace plan.